Hey guys, it is Zach here. Hope you guys are all having a good day. So today, as you guys probably noticed, we have two things which are different. First off, I'm wearing a hat because my hair is all floppy right now and I don't want it in my face. And the second one is that we're outside. And that is because we are in Brisbane, Australia, and it's middle of winter and it doesn't get cold and it stays hot, so we're outside to keep warm. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to talk about something that I really love and I think that everyone should really know about. So what we're doing is talking about passive income. So what passive income is income that you have and get in constantly, that you can sleep and you just get that income in constantly. You don't have to do anything for it. And the first thing that every passive income person does is they smash the like button and hit that subscribe. Now it'd really help me out if you guys just do that. It takes 1 second on your part, but it really helps me out a lot, gets me a lot of more people watching, and it will really help me out. So just guys, do that for me, thank you. So out of everyone here, I don't think anyone would want to just work a 9 to 5 every single day and just do that for 40 years and just get nothing out of it. I think that's really a normal thing to do now, but I don't think that's the thing anyone wants to do. So what everyone wants to do is they want to be sitting on a beach, they want to be drinking pina coladas, just sitting on a beach doing nothing and still getting the money coming in. I think that's the life. And that's what passive income allows you to do. It allows you to do other things which you love and other things that you want to do. Meanwhile, you still get money coming in. You still get, all that stuff happening. So what we're going to talk about today is how much money you need to actually have invested in stocks in order to actually get that. So a lot of people actually have a lot of misconceptions when it comes to passive income. So there are really only two tried and true passive income ways. So I'm talking about is a lot of people think that e-commerce, YouTube, writing books are ways of creating a passive income, and I agree to a certain extent on that point. So what I mean is that you can write a book and it can take you a year to write and then you have income coming in after that, but at the end of the day you're still spending a year of writing a book, and at the end of the day, unless you're J.K. Rowling writing Harry Potter, you're not going to be getting millions and millions and millions of income coming in that's going to be able to support you for that book. Same principle is there with e-commerce. E-commerce is not a way of having passive income. Every single time that you look at it, e-commerce, you still have to fulfill orders, you have to do advertising, you have to do stuff like that, unless you're hiring it out to someone. And even if you get to the point where you're hiring it out to someone, you're having to pay for that, you're having to do other stuff. So it's not directly passive and you're still having to do other stuff. Same as YouTube. A lot of people think that YouTube is passive income because what you do is you put a video up and then years later people are still watching that video and you're getting money from that video. And yes, to a certain extent, like I said, that is passive income. But however, to stay constant on YouTube, to stay relevant on YouTube, you have to make constant videos 2 to 3 times a week, and you have to make sure they're all coming out of good quality, and you have to make sure everything's happening with them. So that's if it's not passive income, if you're working for it 3-4 times a week to do something with it. So there are really only two tried and true ways of creating passive income, and that is real estate investing. So that is having a property where you have a tenant come in and then they pay rent, and that rent pays off your mortgage, and then you pocket the difference between the two of them, as well as getting interest and home equity in your mortgage. The second way, which is what we're going to be talking about today, is dividend investing. So for those who don't know what dividends are, when you give a company your money in the stock market and when you buy equity into their company, what they do is every quarter they pay you a certain percentage of your money back, and then as a way of saying thank you. And the amount they pay back differs depending on what company you are and where you are in the world. So that comes on to the first thing where you want to actually think about today, is that you need to actually figure out what actually happens with dividends in whatever you are investing in. For example, Australia and the US have very different dividend investing options. So for example, we use a franking system in Australia. I can make a video about that. It's kind of complicated. It will take 10 minutes to explain about the whole franking system. However, so what this allows us to do is we have a lot higher dividend investing. So we have an average dividend of around 4% over here in Australia, whereas anywhere in America they don't have the franking system, and then it's up to the companies to really decide how much they want to give out in dividends. So on average in about America, they only have a 2% dividend investing, which is obviously is going to be quite harder to create a dividend portfolio when your dividend's at 2% rather than 4%. So in order for you to do this, you kind of need to figure out how you're going to make your portfolio. So there are two ways of really making a dividend portfolio. The first way, which is, I believe, is probably the better way, just because it's less risky. Because if you're living off this money 24/7 and whatnot, you are going to need to have a less risky investment, and you're going to want to be able to see it, grow exponentially over a few years. So the first way of doing this is by having a high dividend yield index fund. So what this is an index fund, as I've talked about a fair few times onto this channel. Is an index fund is just a bunch of companies around your market, whatever you're in, and gets all the highest dividend yields and put them all to one and then averages them out. And what this does, it allows you to have a lot better, lot low risk, and then because a lot of the time you have a higher demand as well, and what happens is that you'll get a better return. The second way, which is, I think it's more risky, but you can actually get higher returns, is, as I've said a lot of the time, that's how the stock market works. You're going to have you're going to make a more risky move in order to get a higher return. So the second way is by using individual stocks, and then with all those stocks you average them out, and then actually average dividend return of your portfolio. This is kind of more risky, as I said. Like if you're living off this money, you kind of don't want to take a lot of risk, and I don't think that's the best option really out there. So anyone who's wanting to really do a dividend yield, make dividend yields, and then you're wanting to live off that money, I would suggest looking at an index fund. So for the purposes of this video, what we're going to do is we are going to continue under the basis that we are living off a 3% dividend yield or our portfolio, whether that be a Vanguard index fund or whether that be a collection of funds and then portfolio. So what we're going to do is going to live off a 3% yield. So for America, this would be hard-ish to get, but I think you can get a 3% dividend yield. I don't think it'd be too hard for Australia. This would be quite easy to get a 3% dividend yield. Like a lot of companies, like I said, 4 is the average in Australia, so it's not unheard of to go about 5, 6, 7%. In Australia for dividend yields, so it's a lot easier obviously in Australia. However, you can always tailor the index fund that you have, and you can also tailor your portfolio to have a higher dividend yield. And then also for this calculation, we need to figure out is how much money you actually need to live off. So for this example, I'm going to use the fact that you need $30,000 per year to live off. So I think this is actually a decent, hey, Gumball. Sorry, dog's barking because I have the dog next door. So what happens is that you're obviously going to have a certain amount of money that you need to live off. And, this is actually, and what your dividend yield is going to create that money. So what you need is that it depends on every single person, and I can comfortably live off $10,000 per year. That's my expenses currently right now. However, not a lot of people are going to be in the same circumstances as me and not going to be able to live as frugally as me. So it's really up to you how much money you spend. If you do a really good budget and you can figure out how much money you actually spend in a year and then figure out how to decrease it, it's going to be a lot easier and it's going to help you a lot in the future. As I said, we're going to use $30,000 and then we're going to use a 3% dividend yield. So what we're going to do is we are going to do a very simple calculation. So what this calculation is the amount of money that you are going to need in a year divided by the dividend yield. It's actually a really easy calculation, and we're just going to do it here. I don't know where my phone is. Oh, actually I'm using my phone. So what we're going to do is 30,000 divided by 0.03, which is a 3% dividend yield, which gets you roughly, which gets you $1 million. So that's how much money you would need invested at a 3% dividend yield average in order to get overall. So when you guys think about it, $1 million is quite a lot, and I do believe that everyone can actually, after a long time, sorry, my dog wants to throw the ball. I do believe that after a long time, a lot of people actually are going to be able to live off dividend yields. I don't think they're going to obviously have $1 million in their investments and whatnot, but if you can actually live frugally and you can invest quite well and you can live off your dividend yields, I feel like a lot of people can actually get to that point where they can live off their dividends. For example, like I said, I earn $10,000. Not earn $10,000. I live off $10,000 per year, given my circumstances I am in my life. So it happens, and because can have a high dividend yield on all my stocks and whatnot, I can obviously, so for example, if I have a 7% dividend yield and I need to live off $10,000, you know, that's obviously not a lot of money that I need to have invested. So before you actually, you know, click off this video, I want to make a few points really clear when it comes to dividend investing. Like, I think that, you know, it's a really nice way to create passive income, but I wouldn't personally live off dividend yields. So for example, it depends on where you're living, but a lot of the taxes could be different compared to where you are. Like, I know in Australia and America, the dividend yield tax is actually you know, separate between the two of us. So what I first want to say is that dividend yields are not guaranteed. So for example, this year I know all of my stocks except for one has not paid dividends. So what this means is that if I was living off dividends, I wouldn't have any income at all this whole year because of what's happening in the market. So really, your dividends actually depends what's happening in the market, what's happening in your companies. You know, it's actually quite hard sometimes for you to get a really good dividend yield, and I feel like, you know, it's going to be really inconsistent. So second, going off inconsistent, is that you actually don't know when in the year your dividend is actually going to be paid. So you know it happens per quarter, but it can happen any time during that quarter, and it can be any certain amount of money. So what this will mean is that you have to be very very good at budgeting your money, and you have to figure out when you need to spend and how much you need to spend and how much money you're going to have during that time. For example, you might get $1,000 every month, but you need to be able to figure out how you're going to spend that $1,000. For example, does that all go towards rent? What happens with it? You know, you need to be able to figure out what you're doing with your money, and you need to be able to really good at you know, budgeting, and it's, you know, because it's quite hard to live off a per quarter statement and per quarter pay. The third one is that you actually don't know what's going to happen to the market. So your stocks or your index fund that you have could go up, could go down. What's the mean is that this could affect the amount of money that you actually have in your index fund or stocks, and this would directly reflect on how much money you get from your dividends. For example, if I had $1 million in my account, and then it dropped by 10%, I only have $90,000 in my account. $900,000 in my account. You know, I'm going to get less money off my dividends, which means I'm going to have less money to live off, and it's going to be harder for me to budget. You know, it's actually quite hard for you to be able to think about anything like that. You know, I think it's really hard if you're going to be living off, and you need to have a backup, and you really need to be good at budgeting your money in a case any of this stuff happens. But yeah guys, that is going to be all for me today. I really hope you guys have enjoyed. You know, it's been a really good video for me to make, and I'm sorry but you guys haven't uploaded anything this week at all. You know, it's been a bit busy. I've got 3 exams this week. I've been studying all this week, you know. But you guys, I hope that is all for me today. I hope you guys have a good day, and I will see you next time.